class boundary, we have on the horizontal 0, 9.5, 19.5, 29.5, 35.5, 49.5, 59.5, 69.5. On the vertical, we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Then, if you now start tracing our value, we have when the frequency is 2, the upper class boundary is 9.5. You mark asterisk. When the frequency is 3, the upper class boundary is 19.5. You mark asterisk. When the frequency is 5, the upper class boundary is 29.5. You mark asterisk. When the frequency is 12, the upper class boundary is 39.5. Where the two meet is the location of that point. You mark asterisk. When the frequency is 9, the upper class boundary is 49.5. Where the two meet is the location of that point. You mark asterisk. When the frequency is 5, the upper class boundary is 59.5. Where the two meet is the location of that point. You mark asterisk. When the frequency is 6, the upper class boundary is 69.5. Where the two meet, you mark asterisk. Then you now join the line. From the question, the median is 39.5, where 38.7 is. You trace it down to the frequency, which will give you the upper quartile. When which will give you the median. When the upper quartile is the lower 80th percentile is 57.7. You trace it on the where the two meet is the 80th percentile. Solution: the upper quartile Q3 is equals to L1 plus in parentheses 3n over 4 minus summation of F1 all over FQ times C. For the count is equals to 3 times 42 all over 4 is equals to 1.5. Our upper class boundaries was to 49.5. Our summation of frequency is equals to 31. The frequency of the median is 5 and C is equals to 10. Therefore, we substitute the values into the formula. Then we have Q3 is equals to 49.5 plus in bracket that's 1.5 minus 31 all over 5 times 10. Q is equals to 49.5 plus in parentheses 0.5 over 5 times 10 if we do our subtraction. Therefore, if we do our mathematics, then we now have our Q3 to be equals to 49.5 plus in bracket 0.1 times 10. Q3 is equals to 49.5 plus 1. Q3 is equals to 50.5. Now, to trace the upper quartile from the graph, we now have when the upper quartile is for 50, we now trace it upwards 50.1 until it touches the Ogive, then trace it backwards to the frequency. Where it touches the frequency is the frequency of the upper quartile. Solution: median equals to count equals to the number of frequency over 2, which gives us 42 over 2. This will give us 21. Then we go to the graph where we have 21. We trace it down until it touches the Ogive, then trace it downwards Ogive curve. Then we trace it downwards where it meets the lower class boundary is our median, which is 29.5 plus the decimal, which is 9.5, will give us that 8.7. Then on the graph, we now have that 8.7. The upper quartile Q3 is count equals to 3 times total number of frequency over 4, which will give us 3 times 42 over 4, which gives us that 1.5. Therefore, 49.5 plus 1 will give you now on the graph upper quartile. You look for that 1.5 on the vertical axis and trace it down to the curve of the Ogive curve. When it meets the Ogive curve, it traces it downwards. Where it touches the curve is 49.5 plus 1, which is equals to 50.5. Then C, we have the 80th percentile account. We have 80 times over 100, which equals to 80 times 42 over 100, which gives us 33.6. We now trace that 3.6 on the graph. Where it touches the Ogive, it traces downwards. We now have 49.5. We now count the decimals there, which are almost 5, which give us 54.5. We now do the lower quartile, which is Q1. Count is equals to 1 over 4 times 42, which gives us 10.5. On the graph, along the frequency axis or vertical axis, we trace them to where it meets the Ogive curve. It traces downwards, which will give us 29.5. For interquartile range, we have count equals to 3 over 4 times 42, which gives us that 1.5. Then we trace that 1.5 on the vertical axis towards the Ogive. Where it touches the Ogive, it now traces downwards on the horizontal axis, which is almost 49.5 plus 1, which gives us 50.5.